Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Thriving Adoptees podcast. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Sarah Patstone. Delighted to have, we haven't had any Brits on the show for a while, right? So, delighted to be talking to you today, Sarah.
Thank you. That's wonderful. I'm not, and of course I'm a Brit, but I'm a Brummie too. So I mean, let's see how that goes down.
See how that goes down. Do you remember those Do you ever watch Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Did you ever watch that?
Oh God, no, I didn't actually, but yeah.
Also, as they went around the galaxy, obviously people spoke lots of different languages, so you needed a Babel fish, so that you stuck a Babel fish in your ear, and you could understand all the different languages, and obviously stronger accents like Brummie ones, right? I think it would be a Babel fish for that.
Babel fish. I think the Babel fish is probably more for Black country as opposed to Brummie.
Slightly different. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have been fishing on this weekend for the second time in my life, and 7 hours on 7 hours, something like that, on aimlessly kind of floating in the North Sea. Two fish in 7 hours.
But yeah. the one did get away, Simon, didn't it? The big one got away, yeah.
The big one, yeah. It was like a shark, yeah. And it was a little bit tricky because we'd had about 5 hours sleep the night before, and quite a lot of beer. So it's no wonder that the fishing wasn't spot on.
Wasn't up to mark. Yeah, I can understand. Yes, North Sea too. Wow.
Right. Look, a little chilly. Not like you, because you're in Portugal, right?
I am in Portugal, and the it's glorious today. It was pissing down yesterday. Yeah, and the washing came in, the washing went out. One of those days that you just oh God, we felt like shouldn't have done it in the first place. Anyway, it's sunny today and windy, and yeah, it's nice here. It's a lovely place, good energy.
Cool. So, the big question that we all start with: what does healing mean to you, Sarah?
I've given this a bit of thought, and a lot of people say freedom, which it absolutely does mean that. But for me, on a personal level, it means loving myself unconditionally. Getting to that place where I have self-worth, self-value. I've gone through the self-forgiveness, self-appreciation, all of those things, and found who I am. That's what healing means to me.
Okay. So then the next big question from that then is, who are you?
I'm a loved adoptee that has discovered that being detached from my birth mother caused me trauma, which affected my life for, all of my life until recently healing began, which I didn't know this until I'm 54 now. Yeah, that's right, 54 now. And I only discovered this fact 4 years ago. So I have lived my life having no idea that there was a primary wound.
Yeah. So sounds like we kind of came out of the fog around the same time, actually.
I think so. And actually, I was listening to you earlier on a different one, and I was like, oh yeah, I'd forgotten that. Not everyone has always been aware of this fact. And for me, from a personal point of view, my purpose now is to help raise awareness for people that have been loved and cared for and had no idea that their adoption and that detachment probably most likely did cause a wound. They could be very well adjusted. I think for mostly I was well adjusted. Probably menopause and midlife crisis made a big difference and made a big change for me. You start to look at things and think, well, hold on, something's not okay here. I am still doing things that I used to do at 20 years old. And, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. This identity thing seems to me to be at a few different levels. So you said I am a loved adoptee. I mean, do you think is that the essence? Do you see is that the last word in you for as far as you're concerned in terms of identity, or have you got other views on what identity is?
Yeah, I think that's yeah, definitely. Me as an individual, we all have a unique signature, energy signature, and we're all very different. So for me personally, whatever the universe wanted me to be, and I'm trying to fulfill that.
Yeah. So there's sounds like you've found some meaning there, have you?
Definitely, definitely. We are told very often that we have a purpose. For many years, I was doing holistic therapies, massage, and things, and I was like, yeah, I do want to work with people, but couldn't figure out what it was exactly what I wanted to do. And this revelation to me about the childhood trauma caused by relinquishment and abandonment led me to discover that what I really want to do is help other people in my situation.
Yeah. So summing up, sounds like finding meaning has been part of your healing. That sounds quite good, doesn't it?
It is, and that's absolutely right. And it's progressed. I mean, when I first started learning the holistic therapies, it was really about just meeting people and trying to help them with their bad back and things like that. But it really has evolved into something much, much bigger, into coaching and mentoring now. I'm
Yeah.
looking at doing inner child healing and integration work with a colleague, which is profound and very, very effective. It's very deep. So it really has gone over. And I started the treatments 10, 12 years ago, probably more actually, if I look at the date. It's taken that long to get to where I am now. But of course, it was a journey, it was a path that I needed to heal before I could even discover any of this.
Yeah. So at the moment, I'm trying to create this kind of healing framework, right?
Yeah.
A framework for healing. And what I hear from what you said there, you talk about, I guess we could look at healing in the head, healing in the heart, and healing in the body.
Yes, it's definitely physical, emotional, and energetic too. Energetic level as well.
And
energy applies
would
to
you say
all of
mental? Would you say mental too?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Because the coaching side is perhaps about the mental and the emotional, whereas
Yeah.
obviously the body work is about the holistic. Well, I mean, I'm putting my structure here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in danger of pushing my structure on you. So how do you see it?
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, holistic. It's holistic healing, which means the body, the mind, the soul. Those things, and we never work on one thing without working on the other. And actually, as well, holistic really doesn't mean you're trying to treat a symptom. You go in for the root cause. So we're peeling back the layers in whatever way we need to do that, which is generally client led, person to person, and client led, and intuitively figuring out where you need to go with things and be guided by them. Really, only working with what they feel safe with. You can't push yourself and work with things that are too painful because you'll meet resistance.
Yeah. So is the root cause in your opinion that separation? Is that what the root cause is?
Abandonment. That's what. Yeah. I mean, there's so many levels or so many names for it, isn't there? There's relinquishment, detachment, abandonment. Abandonment actually almost pinches me. That the word abandonment, I can still,
Yeah.
although I've gone through much healing, that word still is like,
It's like a trigger word.
yeah, but I'm not triggered by it because I know now. But it's still, there's a
Ah,
residual sensation to the word, I would say.
okay. So healing is at another level. Healing is about not being triggered by stuff.
Absolutely. There's loads of things that we need to work on, and triggers are one of the big ones. It's looking inside and figuring out what has triggered us and why, and what we can do to overcome it. And
Yeah.
that can be simply from just taking a few deep breaths and, I don't know, talking talking to the birds. That sounds nuts, but you know, you do what resonates for you, and you do things that you enjoy to get you through that spot in that
Yeah.
very moment. You might need to phone a friend, you know,
Yeah.
50-50, all of these things. We can phone a friend, and one thing I believe, to me, that has been really crucial is having a support network. You cannot do this work alone. You
Yeah.
really can't. You need people on your side, and as well as your family. Um, and if you're an adoptee, you understand each other. Not everybody that is an adoptee would understand actually what you're trying to explain to them, but they can be have empathy and compassion, which in itself
Yeah.
can do the job. You know, it's enough.
So I just want to go back to that those words. So you use the word relinquishment, and you use the word abandonment.
Hmm.
And the first thing that came to my mind when I heard you say those is, well, that's what has happened. Or, sorry, or that's what our birth mum has done to us. And I was thinking, well, that's if we're the object of that rather than the subject. I'm not making money. I guess we use them interchangeably, don't they? Maybe that's what's. Maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree here.
Well, you know what? No one's to blame. I don't think anyone's to blame. And you know that what's happened has happened. Nobody can be blamed. Everybody did what they could do with the knowledge and the skills and the you know, the support networks that they had around them. So I would never actually blame anyone. And I think using the word relinquishment is a bit softer
Yeah,
from the birth mother point of view. And I, I used to maybe feel a little bit angry. You know, there were emotions attached to the thoughts of my birth mum, but I've gotten over that now,
yeah,
and I'm not angry anymore. I feel a bit sad that she was in a position to have to do that. I'm a mom. I have two children, and really, I can't imagine how it would feel. Even if you think it's the right decision at that time, and it was the right decision at that time, how you move through life with that
yeah,
and how it might come up for you, I don't know. So a part of me has a lot of compassion too, but well, most definitely a lot
yeah,
of compassion too for birth mothers and birth fathers who may not even know or had any say in the matter. The triad's very tricky.
yeah. What comes to mind for me on that is it's like sometimes the language matters, and sometimes at one level the language really matters, and at another level it doesn't. And but whatever you see there I'm doing it there. I'm talking,
Yeah.
you know, using and or a but. A lot of people use that word given up, don't they? Given up for adoption.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
interesting.
and
Yeah.
placing, or they say, you know, when I heard that word placed for adoption, that kind of implies to me more care, right? But you could say given up. You could say given up, which implies a loss on her side, or you know, given
It
away.
also could
Yeah.
giving up on themselves, on their
Oh yeah,
situation.
you could
No
do
hope.
that on that.
No hope.
No
That's the
hope.
other. Yeah.
No.
No, the words are very important, and I think it's quite, you know, important for everybody to consider what wording we use. I mean, definitely when we're talking to ourselves, and when it comes down to that, oh, you were stupid today, you did this, and that negative self-talk for anyone is not going to do any good. But when we're talking about our life as a whole and the people in it, the words can be important, but we don't have to uh, be molded by them.
Yeah. So the the next question, my next question really is: do any particular healing moments come to mind for you? So
Healing moments.
healing moments.
Yeah, I think the day I woke up and realised that there was the pain I had lived with inside that was always there. There was a pain inside that I couldn't reach, couldn't soothe. Sometimes it was worse than others. That it had gone. It had gone, and that was, wow, that was quite profound.
And what led up to that? Sorry?
It does come back.
It does come
but
back.
I know when it's coming, and I can, I can work with it now to get it to disappear quickly and faster each time, which is really good.
Yeah. So what was it that led up to the loss of the pain?
All the self-work. It started, probably with just meditating, to be fair, and then moved into journaling. As being a therapist anyway, I was aware of the energy healing technique. So I'm a Reiki master, so I was working with myself with Reiki, breathing techniques, cold water therapy. I listen to a lot of Esther Hicks too. Everything is always working out for me. It's all the positive mindset. I don't really go too much into fixing what happened, but fixing the way I feel about it. You can't fix what happened. Actually, you actually can't do that, can you? Think as I think.
Well,
but
what's
we can
done?
fix how we feel about it.
Yeah. What's done can't be undone, right?
Absolutely.
So we're not. I mean, something that came to me. I was just driving back from the swimming pool, thinking about you, and was this idea came into my head that I've heard before. It is that we're not feeling our adoption, because the adoption happened 54 years ago from you and 57 years ago from me. We're not feeling the adoption. We're feeling our current thoughts about the adoption, and those thoughts may well be unconscious ones, right?
No, I think we do have an emotion attached to that, and it's sitting in our subconscious. And we do think about it, but I always knew I was adopted and really never had any major issue with it. I never did, really. It was okay. I absolutely loving and caring parents, so I was very blessed that way. So the fact that I was adopted and wasn't with birth parents didn't bother me at all, but something was sitting there, and it was emotional, subconscious emotional imbalances.
So is the fog is coming out of the fog when we become conscious of the subconscious, of what was previously subconscious?
Yes, spot on. That's absolutely it. And I mean, I know that you've read The Primal Wound, and I agree with you. It was okay. It was enlightening, but I think we can get too much hooked up on what we can blame for things, in some cases, that are everyday life. I mean, I speak to people many days being a therapist that have similar things crop up to me, and they're not adopted. They may have some childhood trauma, but it's not necessarily adoption. So childhood trauma causes similar symptoms regardless of what the actual trauma was caused by.
Yeah. So how did you come, what was it that led you to come out of the fog 4 years ago, do you think?
The realization that there was trauma there, because I didn't know. And as soon as I realized, then the work began.
Yeah. And what prompted that? Did you read the
sorry.
Wound, or?
Yeah, it was during the lockdown, actually, and I was all fumbling around wondering what to do with our lives. Well, we can't go out and go to work. So I discovered a friend was running a course, and she was offering some free places on this course, an online thing, and I got a place on that, and it just started to flow from there. Really, lots of things came out of that started, the journey of looking inwardly, I suppose, and figuring out what it all was. Yeah, so that was the start of it. It seems such a long time ago now. But what I do recall is thinking to myself, and I've thought this a lot since, one of the things adoptees struggle with is self-worth and self-value. Now, if we even know that we have this trauma to heal, we don't value ourselves enough to invest in ourselves financially, for that we just can't do it. And I've spoken to many adoptees about this, and I realise that this is an issue. And I, with my work, running a pay it forward scheme. So when people get to a certain stage of healing, they pay it forward to somebody that can't invest fully in themselves but prepared to make a part payment. So we kind of pay it forward to help someone else out of that hole. Once you get so far down the healing process, you will start to value yourself more, and you will start to see that you are worth financial investment. But of course, you have to get to that place first. It's a bit tricky.
Yeah.
So for me to get this free space was incredible, because that started a journey for me that I would never have paid for, because I didn't think I was worthy of it.
And was it also because you didn't think that adoption was the problem?
Well, yes. At the time, it wasn't. I didn't know that, because I thought I was going to be helped on my professional path with my career. I thought that's where this was going to go, and it all changed.
So the webinar looked like it was about.
It was about
improvement. It looked like it was about business improvement, but it was really about self-awareness,
personal development. But I thought it was going to take me or help me with my career. It was a confidence and clarity, and I certainly got clarity.
Yeah. And what was it within that course that led you to the awareness and led you to coming out of the fog?
Just researching about trauma, actually.
And
what, what can cause trauma. And it doesn't come up quite initially. It takes a bit of digging to find that adoption does. It's not, if you Google what causes, Google, of course we all use Google, if you Google what causes childhood trauma, it's very rare that adoption comes into that, but it does. You do have abandonment wounds, but it doesn't specify. It can be adoption. No, could be left in childcare too early, a spell in hospital without parents, being sent off to relatives if mum or dad was ill or had to work away. So that would cause abandonment trauma. But when you generally look at these things, it doesn't say adoption.
No. And why do you think that might be?
I think people think it doesn't. I don't think that they don't know. They just don't know that that's the case. Something I've discovered is when I've been talking, because I've actually started to talk about this a lot now over the last few years to family and friends. And when I talk to people, they go, "Oh gosh!" And somebody actually said, "I had no idea that love does not cancel out the grief and loss." And that was quite something, because it doesn't mean that the love doesn't get in there, because it does. If we love, we know we loved, but it doesn't cancel out that grief and loss. That's something completely different.
And why do you think it doesn't?
Because you have to work on that. You have to heal that wound, and that comes from self-love. It doesn't come outwardly, it comes inwardly.
Yeah. I was thinking about my own answer to that question, and what popped into my head was that it's unconscious.
Well, yes,
we're unconscious of that.
Yeah,
that feeling of loss.
Yeah, and that's why it would come from inwardly.
So, and then a metaphor pops into my head about that, which is a building without foundations. So
yes, no,
so you
I'm
don't
actually
know.
glad you said that. That's interesting.
So our adoptive parents were trying to were they were unaware, right?
Yeah,
They were unaware because in 1960, 71
9.
for you or
Yeah,
67 for me, whatever it is, there was no awareness of this stuff. There
no,
was no
no,
awareness of the primal wound. Primal wound wasn't written until 1993.
yeah,
So
exactly.
so so our parents were putting the foundations. Sorry, we're putting bricks. We're building the house of love. There's a song, isn't it? I am a spy in the house of love. There's
Isn't that the madness?
that
House
madness.
of fun.
Welcome to the house
House
of
of
love.
fun.
Yes,
House of fun.
house of fun, is it? Welcome to the house of fun. Okay. Well, you
Yeah.
said that you wanted fun and love from this
I
conversation.
know. Come on.
So our parents were putting the bricks down,
Yes,
the bricks of love down, but they were unaware that the foundations were missing.
they were building on
So
quicksand.
they were building
Yeah.
on quicksand. There's a biblical
Yeah.
thing there, isn't there? I don't know.
It's interesting that you've said that, because while I was doing this course, we did I can't think what it's really called now. This pyramid. It's a I can't remember. Doesn't matter.
Ansos, a pyramid, like what's his name's pyramid?
Belief pyramid.
Oh, a belief pyramid.
Belief pyramid. That's right. And at the top of this belief pyramid it's you put in the top section what you want, what you ultimately want to achieve. And I wrote down something on there, and I've worked with this ever since. And I wrote down the foundations of you. And that is, I have a Facebook group that's called that, and I call my website that, because for me, that's it. Unless we have foundations, we have nothing to build on.
Yeah, and but you put foundations at the top of the pyramid when the foundations
No,
are.
no, that was just no, they're not
Sorry,
at the top of the pyramid. Oh gosh, come on, you. Stop it.
I've been a little bit literal. Sorry,
You are.
I am.
Yeah,
But
so
that's the top priority. That is the
we
top one.
can't build anything on quicksand. But I don't really know what the solution is when people are, initially adopted, because I don't know. I mean, we can all hear, and energetically we understand and we feel that there's a way through that. I'm absolutely sure there is. Maybe it's the inner child healing
Well,
process and progression.
I think it comes down to the the level of consciousness of the parents.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And
So if they're I think one of the big challenges that we have these days is we're judging 20th century parenting or 20th century parents on 21st century child development.
Yeah.
Understanding. Or if that's too broad for you, like if we're judging 1970s parenting on 1990s awareness of the primal wound, right? So it's really it's kind of unfair of us as adoptees to judge parents on stuff that they didn't know
God,
about.
no, absolutely can't. And that's why I said earlier, there's no one to blame. There's no one to blame, because everybody was only doing what they could with what they knew. I remember telling my mom, oh, my mom is my adopted mom, and she was, well, she was deeply, deeply upset. She said, I had no idea, and she was really upset. And actually, there's nothing she could have done, really, any better, because she didn't know then. But parents now, there has to be a way, to have some things, mechanisms in place to soothe more. In fact, I read not long ago as well that one of the things that soothes a baby when they're feeling ill or whatever, whether they're teething, hungry or whatever, is their mother's voice, because they're used to hearing that in the womb. So just hearing their mother's voice would be soothing for them. And that's when you think, wow, okay. Interesting.
Interesting. So what helps us heal?
I can only speak as an adult. Self-understanding, self-awareness, self-forgiveness, and actually forgiveness of everybody else too. If you're harboring any anger, resentment, feelings of betrayal or anything like that.
So there's two sides to it. There's the internal part, there's the us part and the others part.
Yeah. And we're often stuck in the middle, aren't we, too, because we have adoptive parents, biological parents, there's loyalty, secrecy, and all of those things. Do we even want to go into the secrecy section of this?
Yeah.
That goes way deeper. Yeah.
So how did you navigate that fine line? Or how do you navigate that fine line?
I've discovered actually just being honest now is the one that works for me, and not feeling that I can't speak my truth or ask questions. I might not get the answers that I want. I've asked. Certainly, my adopted parents, have always been honest with me. But when it comes to the biological ones, it's slightly different. But again, no one's to blame, and everybody did their best at that time. So, and truth is, not everybody can be honest with themselves. It's taken me, to really dig deep, to be honest with myself about how I felt and what I was doing to myself, self-sabotage behavior, and things like that. And then along with that comes shame. So it's not easy to be truthful. Sometimes there's a lot of deep emotions come up with that truth.
Yeah. So we're back to that bit in terms of healing, the holistic bit in terms of mind, body, and soul.
Yeah. I'm also working these days a little bit more on the inner child too, or the inner children. We have, if we did want to connect with our inner child, they can present themselves at any age or whatever age they want to show up as. We can work with the inner children as well and do automatic writing, which is a good process. It can be very deep, but it's also very effective.
So what's that, Sarah?
Automatic writing. It's like journaling. It's another method that you can use that's really helpful. But automatic writing is you actually you just get yourself calm and sit and ask yourself, or ask an inner child to come forward, and you would write with your left hand or your non-predominant hand, so whichever hand is the opposite to normal, and just ask a question and write. Ask them how old they are and what message do they have, or if there's anything they want you to know. And write with your left hand, or just go with it, because something will come up if you're open to it. Of course, you have to be open to these things, and it can be quite challenging, and it can be quite emotional.
Yeah. So how do you see that the healing across those levels, body, mind, and soul? What are you tapping into with the automatic writing? Presumably you're tapping into the soul stuff, are you?
It's soul stuff. Yeah. I mean, energetically connecting with your inner child.
Yeah.
It's interesting with the inner child work, because often as I work with people, I say, do you think about your childhood very much? And if there was somebody, for instance, that their childhood was quite painful, the answer is no. They just tend to not ever recall their childhood or not go there. And that is detachment from the time that they were caused, their trauma, and it prevents them from feeling the pain again, the reverberation and recalling the pain. But really, we have to go there, not for long. You don't have to spend, the next 10 years in a child mode, but you do have to revisit it, because we have to give that child the love and the nurturing that they needed, or the understanding that they needed. They didn't know what it would have been at the time. They had no idea. Certainly when actually that, as a baby, you can't even talk to communicate and let people know what you want. But even when you're older, you don't understand what these feelings are. I've noticed it myself with my own kids. When they were younger, how do you feel? And they're like, I'm fine. And they're not fine. But they haven't got the use of word. They don't, the vocabulary isn't there for them to explain what their emotions are. They might know happy, sad, and angry. But how many emotions are there on the positive and the negative side? If we even taught children at an earlier age, there's a broad spectrum of emotions, and every single one will feel differently.
Yeah.
You. And how does this feel? Even asking a child, where do you feel it in your body? Is it in your stomach? Is it in your chest? Is it in your head? Can give you some idea of what type of emotion it is that they're feeling. They can't even tell you what it's called.
So you mentioned earlier on that you're as an energy worker. Did you use that word? Energy worker, yeah. So it strikes me that all feelings are actually energy.
Yes, feelings and emotions are energy. That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And they have a frequency, and of course, we talk about like attracts like. So if we vibrate in or have an energy about us that isn't very happy or joyful, you walk in a room and you can pick up on people's energy, and your energy yourself, or how you're feeling, can dip or increase depending on what you're walking into, and everyone knows that.
Have you got a scale or a framework or a
there is actually.
Yeah,
there is a scale. You can find it on the internet, and it's color coded too. I can't think what it's blooming called now.
I haven't
put that in the notes at some point.
Sorry. I haven't come across a color coded one. What I've come across is the David Hawkins scale of awareness, levels of consciousness.
I think that might be it actually, but some of them have colors as well with that. Okay.
So there's maybe the David Hawkins levels of consciousness. Somebody else has added some colors too. The one that it's a fascinating thing for me, because it does give that it does give that scale, and it does give us the words, and it does give us a relative scale, so we can compare, and it ties into the human experience really well, because that's where it came from, and it ties into adoptees' emotions and belief systems really well too, although it wasn't created to do that. So I'll add a link in the show notes for people that are interested in it, and a book all about it that explains it. It's a ladder.
I think anybody that wants to heal definitely needs to look at the holistic approach, and definitely needs to look at energy work. Absolutely, because it shifts everything. And actually, for any women out there who are about 50, don't forget there's also hormones to play right now too. So I sometimes go, you know, yeah, we don't wake up every single day feeling great. So even if I do now and again, the day will get a bit more tricky as it goes. And I have to check in and think, okay, could this be hormonal, or am I just feeling shit today because of whatever? You know, is there a chemical reason for this, or is it, well, it's probably always a chemical reason, but which one might it be?
Yeah.
You know, because life does have its ups and downs and challenges, and you know, it's how we manage them that's better.
Yeah.
That makes it better. What we do about it.
What we do about it. So what do you think hinders our healings?
I think we get in our own way. I think we're scared. I think we're scared of change. I think we're scared of putting in the effort. We're scared of failing. Fear is a massive big block. You know, whatever we've done over the years that we think is keeping us safe when we living with trauma is actually not keeping us safe at all. It's probably causing us more emotional damage in many ways.
Yeah.
On a
And
personal level, I was in many toxic, abusive, narcissistic relationships. So, and that was my, oh, you know, behavior patterns, and not being able to get out of that. So stayed in it, because I think that's all. Well, I know that's all I thought I was worth. I didn't value myself enough to
yeah.
to have better.
Yeah.
I'm single now, by the way, and have been for a while.
Yeah. You started off talking about self-worth, and you've talked about self-work, and this idea of identity as I am a loved adoptee. And what is it that helps us see that? What is it that helped you see your worth?
It slowly comes. That's quite a difficult question, because the work I did was working on all of the selves, the self-appreciation, self-forgiveness, self-acceptance. It just slowly, it's almost like it starts to crystallize after a certain amount of time that, you know what, you're a good person. Not saying I wasn't a good person, but you deserve the best, and there's no reason why you shouldn't have it, and you know, you're worthy of it.
Yeah. I
In
mean,
all areas of life. And when I say the best here, I'm not talking financially. I mean, often people think about, when you say you deserve the best, I'm certainly not talking about the best pair of shoes and the best iPhone. I'm talking about the best out of life overall, in sense of joy, fulfillment, contentment. Yes, of course, financial abundance, but good relationships, you know, good quality time for yourself. It's all of those things. You deserve the best in each and every area of your life.
it was a tricky question, and I had no answer to the question
Thanks.
as I asked it. But as I reflect back on what you've said, and I reflect back on my own journey over the last 17 years, it all started with something very fundamental, and that was 5 days, a 5-day retreat, on realizing that I am not the voice in my head, and realizing that the voice in my head that tells me I'm a worthless piece of shit is a liar. So it was an excavation job. It was understanding what I wasn't, rather than understanding what I was.
And what's interesting with that, Simon, personally, no one's ever told me anything to the contrary of that. But there is something in there that tells you those things. My parents never told me I wasn't worthy or wasn't loved, or it was quite the opposite. But in there, it was telling me that is that monkey, that ego, whatever you want to call it, has that conversation, or that does come from somewhere, and I can't actually always put my finger on what it was, what it's been.
That's a really interesting question. I've looked at it in past podcasts, and it's the question, and it's worth thinking about how this relinquishment, how relinquishment leads to low self-esteem.
Yeah.
Because one is a very physical and frightening experience.
Yeah.
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 One is all about fear, and one very, 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 very feeling based.
Yeah.
And so how does that feeling lead to a belief? I mention this quite a lot on the podcast because it's a fascination. It's a fascination for me.
Yeah, we have also mentioned earlier though about belief systems, and I mean our generation particularly, and I don't think it's shifted that far forward, to be fair. We're in that kind of I don't want to sound rude here, but the put up or shut up, you get on with it, you don't, don't be a crybaby, all those kind of things that people get told when they have a fall, and we that doesn't help anyone, does it? We just want somebody to say, oh bless you, let's have a hug, and take out that, because it's almost saying that we can't feel and we can't show emotions, and that isn't helpful either. It's another layer.
Yeah. I
don't know. I think it's a very magical journey, and I'm saying that now because I'm through the other end. Not completely. There's always bloody work to do, of course. There's always something else showing up. He's like, oh my god, but it makes a difference to be able to think to yourself, okay, I don't even know if I can recall exactly how I used to feel 4 or 5 years ago. I think I've got to that place now where that, you can only hold or retain so much information, like you have a sliding bar, and the more healing that you do, the painful bits come out of the end of the bar, so that you're slipping along it and you don't remember them as much, and that's a bloody brilliant place to be.
Yeah, we forget some of the pain. I can take
myself back there, but why the hell do I want to do that? No, but I mean, it is a bit of a reminder now and again. It will crop up, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. I'm hearing you. I know I've done the work. I've earned my wigs, and I'm proud of them, because you damn well should be when you put the effort in.
Yeah. Does social media sometimes take you back
there? No comment.
It does.
Depends
me.
what I'm looking at, Simon. I've got my own group, but and I'm in some other groups, and the reason why I created a group myself was because I could see that there's a space needed for people, or adoptees specifically, actually, that do want to heal, need support, and need guidance, and have that positivity around them as and when they need it. Yeah. We have to shift from victim to creator, and we need people around us to do that. So, and it's a Facebook group, and it's called Empowering Adoptees. So that's there. It's only a small group at the moment. In fact, Wednesday, 2 days time, I'm doing the second virtual meetup. So that will be interesting to see how that goes. But it's something I want to do every month, just to get a group of adoptees together, just to talk and have a topic, and see if we can do some journaling and stuff to try and have some self-reflection.
Yeah.
you know, with a view to moving forward and putting small tools in place to get yourself through some of these things.
Yeah. How would you feel about asking the group this question that I'm kind of encouraging? I'm going to give it myself some more thought myself. I'm encouraging listeners to think about it.
Yeah.
So the question is, how does relinquishment lead to the belief that we're not good enough?
Okay, I will ask them that, definitely. Interesting.
Because we talk about,
maybe ask somebody like what's his name? I keep forgetting people's names. Simon Gabor Mate.
Yeah.
Or Joe Dispenza or someone. Maybe we need to present that to them and see what they come up with.
And the you know, like the other question for me, perhaps a more straightforward one to ask you for an answer rather than just something to ponder is, what do you think, what are beliefs made of?
Beliefs, it depends, because there's two lots of beliefs. There's learned, well, there's probably more than that. There's learned beliefs, isn't there? There's learned is what we learn as we grow up, but there are your own individual beliefs, and your own beliefs come from listening to your heart and listening to yourself and what you truly value. That we end up living via other people's beliefs, whether it be religion, culture. You know, there's there's various ways we can get our various places, I should say, that we can get our beliefs from. But if you look at what you believe, and if you actually wrote down some of them and asked yourself, do I truly believe this? You might find that you don't. It's not one of yours.
So there are beliefs that are inherited.
Inherited, learned.
Learned.
Yeah, learned.
Yeah, learned is a better word, isn't it, than inherited. There are the beliefs that come from the world, that we pick up from the world around us.
Yeah, conditioning.
Yeah. Conditioning.
Yeah. But if we really put our hands on our heart and tuned in, our beliefs, our personal beliefs will be very, very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's one for you.
Go on. I'm going to put my fingers in my ears now, so I don't.
Does conditioning change our essence?
Oh, for sure. I think it clouds who we are. I don't think we can, unless we.
Okay, hold on. Okay, hold a minute. It clouds who we are. All right. So let me put it back at you again on this one, right? Yeah. So does the cloud change the sun then?
Say that again.
Does the cloud change the sun or the sky?
Yes, and that's exactly that's it, isn't it? That's exactly what you know.
The cloud doesn't change. The cloud doesn't change the sky.
No, it changes how you see
it. It changes the view, not the truth.
It changes the perspective.
Does it change the essence though?
No. It will always, the sun will always be the sun. Yeah. I can see you thinking now. What next?
This idea that the essence, the essence of the podcast is the idea, or the essence of my belief is that trauma veils who we are. It doesn't change who we are.
No, it can't change. We live. Yeah, that's exactly it. It does just, it clouds us. It puts us in, well, as you've already said, fog. I don't actually like that though. fog. I prefer veil.
Yeah.
The
Cool.
smoke screen. It's all a smoke screen.
Smoke screen. That now
It's
that's
all
a great
smoke
metaphor.
screen.
There's a great metaphor to work on. To
Yeah.
work from.
But you know, I mean, some things that they have their advantages, don't they? I mean, the sun, when the sun is clouded, it does have an advantage. So you know, we can use these things. We can shapeshift. You can use things, you know, to our advantage if we want to.
Yeah. What, like doing rain dances and stuff like that?
Yeah, go on, let's do it. Naked.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like to share that I've not asked you about, Sarah?
I don't think so. I've got loads of notes here and I didn't actually look at them. Let me just scan through, see if there's anything I would like anyone to know. No, not really.
Yeah. Do you think the sky's got needs to go on self-improvement courses?
The sky,
Yeah.
did you say?
Yeah.
I think it bloody does. No, I'm in Portugal, it's all right here. I think in England it's a bit different, isn't
it? No, that's the cloud though. That's not the sky.
But it's all in the sky. It's all the same place. It's all the same place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every metaphor runs out of steam, right? So
yeah. Oh, I know what I will add, and you could more information. I am writing a book.
Brilliant.
No idea what it's going to be called, other than, and I'm going to go with this. I'm going to put it there, but with an extension on the title, "The Foundations of You." So that will be in the title at some point. And it's basically it's certainly not a biography or bloody memoirs or anything like that. It's a practical guide really, and tapping into what you can do, where you need to go, and it's going to be useful and very plainly written. No fancy stuff.
No fancy
Just
stuff.
what we need to know.
Cool. And will you come back on the podcast and talk about it when you're ready to, when it's public?
Oh, yeah, of course I will.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic.
And in the meantime, listeners, there's links in the bio to Sarah's website and her socials. And thank you very much for sharing your wisdom today. Really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you for talking to me, Simon. We'll speak again soon.
Yeah. Take care, listeners.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.